Hey guys, it is time once again for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let's talk first about what Rafa and Jacob did today. Jacob was helping Rafa out on the 59 bus, and as you can see, they got some, but not all of the skylight windows in. You can see 3 on this side. Oops, not that one. And I think 2 on this side. Yeah, they got in the middle 2, but not the front 2. So, like most things with this particular bus, it's fighting us. Yes, we are using the BBT seals, which are literally like 1,000 times better than the Wolfsburg West ones, which we are just done with. We still use Wolfsburg West for all the other seals, but for the skylight seals, BBT all the way. But even with those, we've still got 3 skylights that are fighting us for whatever reason. I don't know. I have a feeling that the opening here may be misshapen somehow because we've already got the little flange here trimmed down pretty far, but we may have to trim it down some more. I don't know. I guess Rafa will probably play around with it some more tomorrow and see if he can get those last few in. Other than that, he put in the seals that you see right here that run around the body openings for the pop-outs. He put in the pop-out latches. And yeah, I think those are probably the main things on this bus. Windows can take a long time, even under the best of circumstances. These things, the 23 windows, there's so many damn windows on these things that even if everything goes well, it's still a big job because there's a crap ton of windows. So that happened. On the 68 double cab, kind of finished up the brakes up underneath the front there as far as getting everything connected. It's not really enough interesting stuff going on under there for me to warrant crawling under there, but what I can show you is that plastic tube right there, which ends right there. That's the one that goes to the little reservoir that'll be mounted here, which is what you actually fill the reservoir for. On earlier buses, the reservoir sat, or the reservoir sat about right here, and there was a little cover that you pulled off, and you would fill the master cylinder reservoir from there. I don't know why they decided on later ones to do this little fill reservoir kind of under the dash. That's Volkswagen for you. Sometimes they don't leave well enough alone. To me, just having a little access cover there was a very clean and simple solution, but they made it more complicated. Couldn't tell you why. Anyway, so yeah, I finished that up. I was crawling around under this bus for quite a while, finishing routing the brake line that runs from the master cylinder all the way back. I had kind of started that one yesterday at the end of the day, so I finished routing it along the frame underneath here and putting in the little clips that hold it in place. I still have a few grommets that I have to add where it goes through some bulkheads, but I did get it run from front to back. I got a little retainer clips on, and then I made the final bend at the end where it connects to the master cylinder. All the brake lines are tight, including at the little T that I had to add on there. So yeah, brakes on this thing are pretty much done other than popping the little fill cylinder in and a couple grommets. And well, obviously the back ones aren't done. I still don't have my axle housings back from powder coating, but all the worst parts of the brakes are done. And by that I mean mostly the hard lines. So the Ghia, lo and behold, runs bitchin' now. So this is the carburetor that we took out. I almost feel like I should put a stick of dynamite in this carburetor and invite the owner of this car over, and we can all watch it explode. This is the one that was leaking down the middle, down the throat. Literally did everything, kept leaking. The owner picked up a new Chinese one, but a Chinese one that Weber Redline had gone through. I think I explained all this yesterday. They buy the Chinese ones, they take them apart, they clean them, they make sure everything's set correctly and in spec. I bolted that thing on, and other than adjusting the choke a little bit, it ran perfect out of the box. So pretty much as advertised for those carburetors. think this is latched, or I'd open it up and show it to you. But it pretty much looks like the one that we took off, except a little nicer because it's brand new. Anyway, so yeah, this car is done. I did have some rattling in the shifter that hopefully I've taken care of. Back at the shift coupler, I had a solid billet aluminum shift coupler in there. I actually ended up putting some little foam rubber dampers in that hopefully are going to cut down on some vibration. We'll find out tomorrow when I take it for a test drive. But yeah, this thing is done. So owner's going to come by hopefully sometime in the next couple days or so, whenever he has time, and we'll take it for a test drive together and make sure he loves it as much as I think he's going to. And you know, take care of any other last minute items, which I'm hoping there aren't any. I think there aren't going to be any, and then it's all his. And then he's going to bring in his buggy. So those of you that saw the thumbnail for the video know that this car is back again, and this time I'm happy with what they did. So remember before this, those of you that followed this area under here, I think they just didn't clear coat it at all because it was super dull. So those of you that aren't intimately familiar with automotive paint, two-stage paint, the base coat, which is what gives it the color, has like a very matte finish. And what gives it the gloss is when they go over it with the second stage, which is clear coat. So they spray right over the base coat, and that's what gives you gloss. Otherwise, it's matte looking. Anyway, this was all matte looking. So they took care of that. They took care of this little channel in here where they had kind of forgot to paint. And they took care of the front apron, especially around here where the paint was so thin you could pretty much see the primer through it. And I'm not going to crawl in there, but the underside of this area here, the paint didn't really go all the way forward. So, and there were some other little things here that they fixed. So overall, yeah, pretty happy. They came through, you know, they were good to their word, and they got it looking good. So now I can start back in on this car as well. And so let me think. Oh, the only other thing I did today was I started in on the wiring harness for the 68 double cab, and so did a couple things for that. This is the main harness right here, and so I actually added added some wires. So this wire here, which I added, left it ridiculously long, but that's okay. I'll trim it later because I don't know what it's going to yet. This is for potentially for a gauge. So this could go to oil pressure or oil temperature gauge. So I ran it over kind of by the starter, because this can go back under the engine, which is where you would typically have an oil temperature gauge under the engine, or we can route it back up top and it can go to oil pressure, which mounts on the driver's side of the motor towards the back of the car. So either way, we can route it there. And then the other new wire I added, if I can find it in this mess here. Oh, here it is. The other one I added next to the, so this black wire here is key on power. This is actually for the coil. So I added one next to that, which would be for a tachometer in case we want to put a tachometer on the dash of this. Actually though, since this one's going fuel injection, this wire here is actually going to power the ECU. So when you turn the key on, this will power the ECU. The coil is like a totally separate setup on this. And so this wire will go to the output of the ECU, the tach output of the ECU. So it's actually kind of handy that it runs next to what's going to power the ECU. And then this other one dangling out here is the idiot light for oil pressure. So we may have to move that wire from here, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. Anyway, I did that, and then the other thing that I added is this. This is actually the, let's see, which side is this I have here? This is the engine compartment side. So this is this goes to the little display that'll mount in the cab that will show the fuel injection, you know, status and everything, and you know, potentially it can display gauges. And so this will go to that, and then on the engine side of the harness, somewhere here, is the other end of that cable, which in turn goes to this cable. Here's this connector here will go there, and then these connectors here, here and here go to the actual ECU, which will probably be mounted either on the firewall over here, or I may go ahead and hide it up in there somewhere, or even off to the side on the fender well there. It's not something that the user ever has to interface with. It's basically just a box with some plugs on it. It literally has like no buttons or anything, so it can be somewhere that's difficult to get at, because you would literally never have to get at it unless, I suppose, it goes bad and has to be replaced. But haven't quite figured out where that's going yet, but this cable here is plenty long to go wherever I put it, back at the rear of the car. So yeah, that's it. So that cable, I added the harness for this thing and a couple spare wires for gauges in case we decide to put them in. So I'll probably go ahead and string this thing along the bus tomorrow, and maybe even start doing a little preliminary wiring, the headlight harness and so on. So anyway, that is it for today, guys. Pretty productive day in the shop here, and glad to have the red cowlick bug back so we can get started on it now. And that's it. So see you guys soon. Bye.